Hi, this is Praios, and I used to be a professional gambler. And today I want to talk about the top 5 best advice I have ever received in terms of gambling. And yeah, we will afterwards watch a video from Phil Galfond where he does the same. And yeah, honestly, it's very hard for me to think about any decent advice I got. I mean, the only good advice I got was from a site, which now is more or less a scam. Yeah, honestly, it is. Where you could get $50 for free, and then you were able to do a quiz. Before that, you had to do a quiz and learn all the poker basics, and that basically was the best advice I ever got, and the rest more or less is self-educated, and yeah. So I think it's very hard for me to think about any guy who ever gave me very good advice. Yeah. Let's see what Phil Galfond has to say. But from here, from Drawn, it's already insane to me as Drawn is a terrible player. And I can't imagine that he's giving any good advice at all. But let's see what Galfond has to say.
All right, Phil, it's another top 5. So, off the top of your head, what's the best poker advice you've ever been given?
I might be kind of slow in between these, but I like that one. All right, so the first one is definitely from Tommy Angelo, who's a mentor to me early in my career, mentor and a friend. He explained to me that, let's say that you're playing 5-10 at the casino, and let's say you're a 20 big blind per 100 winner. You're playing, let's just call it 33 hands an hour to be a little bit, well, the math is not simple, but basically you're making, $67 an hour. You've been playing all day, you're down $5K, which, is not a ridiculous loss for those stakes, but an unfortunate day. You buy in for 2K, you lost 2 buy-ins and half of another buy-in. You're not really enjoying yourself there, and you feel like you should quit.
Wow. I mean, the story before the advice is already so long. I'm already almost falling asleep. I hope the advice is coming soon.
But you don't want to, and you think, you know what, let's play one more hour. What Tommy said to me is, if you're in this scenario, you have to remember that poker as a whole, you're thinking about your hourly earn, your average earn. So you're down $5,000. Maybe you're right and you can play, fine. Maybe you're doing fine and the game's pretty good. Maybe you can keep earning that hourly. Let's give you that. You're down $5,000. Do you want to stay for another hour to make $67 back? And I really like that reminder, that framing, because so often when we're in...
Yeah, it's definitely a smart way to frame this in a different way, because in reality you expect to make back way more than your hourly, but in reality you should only expect your average hourly to be earned and not like 5K or something ridiculous.
In the game, it is possible to win a huge pot and get halfway unstuck, but we're not playing poker to try to get lucky. We're playing poker to earn over the long period of time. We're actually trying to fade luck. We're trying to fight against luck. When you're saying to yourself, another hour, and then maybe after that, another hour, what you're actually doing is gambling. Because if you were to put in the perspective of, do I want to put myself through this?
I actually think that's a wrong way to see it. The games you are playing in are very different, especially if it's online every single day. And often it is that you got amazing tables, and then you should continue playing because your hourly will be 3 times as high as your average hourly. Even if you play B game, it's still like double the amount or 1.5 times the amount. Then you should stay and play. But if the games dry up and the competition now got way tougher, you should quit. So that's a better way to look at it, and not... He's sort of assuming that circumstances are always the same and you have the same hourly every single day, but that's simply not the truth. If you have a great spot on a high limit, you have to stay. If this increases your hourly a lot compared to your average hourly. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Potentially risk continuing playing when I'm not playing very well, when I'm in a bad mood for $67 when I'm down 5K. No, you don't. That's not why you're doing it. And so when you frame it that way, you can make a lot better quitting decisions. This next one is not exactly advice. It's more of a warning, but it's something that really stuck with me. It's something I saw.
You will eventually run worse than you ever thought possible. That's true. Yeah, I think that's a very painful lesson every poker player will get in his career.
Really, I must have been 20, so almost 18 years ago. Is from a friend of mine now named Craig, who at that time was somebody that I looked up to, never met in person, but looked up to on the internet. He played in games that I wanted to play in and posted on 2+2 forums, which is where I consumed a lot of knowledge and posted as well. Craig said, "You will eventually run worse than you ever thought possible." And this really stuck with me because essentially we all know.
Yeah, variance is very hard to understand and guess how huge it actually is for the human brain. And yeah, you will have enormous swings. There will be time frames when you are in upswing, where you think that you are basically unbeatable, crushing everyone, winning every hand, and you will feel that life is so great. And then other times, life will be insanely miserable because you run like complete horse shit. I mean, the thing that's probably one of the most ridiculous things that ever happened to me, I was doing a lot of spins on the roulette wheel. And usually I was just placing like maximum amount on one number. And yeah, you should expect to win every 37 spins. And yeah, guess how long it took me to win one spin after the last one I hit. Yeah. It took me 250 spins. And this was like insanely ridiculous. And I was like, games must be rigged. What the fuck is going on? And I also did the math, and it was like 1 in 10,000 that could ever happen. I mean, if you assume you start from zero and then that you lose 250 in a row was something like that. So quite unlucky.
That downswings can happen and bad runs can happen, but our natural expectation of what it could really look like, and not just if we sit here and I ask you directly, how bad do you think a downswing can get for you? We don't give it enough credit. We never really believe it's going to happen to us.
And the thing also is with downswings, it's like a death spiral, because if you have bad results, often it will also affect your game, and you will not play a game anymore, and your win rate will be will be lower than normally, and then you will lose even more because your win rate is lower, and then the downswing gets even worse because of you playing worse and tilting and other things.
Like, yes, it's possible to go on a downswing for 2 years with the win rate I have, but it's not going to happen. But in reality,
2 years sounds tough, especially in online environments where you usually can get in a lot of hands. But in live poker, this probably is a possible scenario.
Every time you play a new hand, you're kind of starting a new sample at which you can begin an extended downswing. It's not just like you're playing 1 year and your chances of that year being bad are X. It's actually you're beginning new samples from which you can experience a really improbable event, but you keep starting these so many times that eventually that improbable event happens. And
yeah, I mean, what he's trying to say, I'm not sure if to say it in English as well, but the events are independent. Stream gerade. Später. Sorry for that. Meaning that, yeah, if like roulette is always good to explain this. If you lost like 10 times in a row betting on red now does not become more likely. It's still above I mean, it's still like 50-50, a bit worse because of the green zero, but you understand the point. So if you run really terrible in poker for several months, this does not mean that the next months will be better necessarily. I mean, over the very long run, bad luck and good luck should balance out somehow. But yeah, if you start the next day, it does not mean that you have to run better because you ran bad the day before. Or the opposite is also not true. If you ran like God, it does not mean that you have to have bad luck the next day. These streaks can continue for quite a long time. Thank you for the follow.
I really liked the way that Craig framed this because it was kind of the only way to get it to land for a lot of people and for me at that point in my career. It really prepared me for that to come.
Honestly, you cannot be prepared for that. You remember when I started to play poker, I was getting so angry and was so mad. One session, I was like insanely tilted. I was almost crying and so enraged. And later in my career, when the same thing would have happened, I was completely like a robot and not recognizing anything anymore. So it's like a muscle you train that you don't get affected anymore, or not that much anymore when you have bad beats and stuff.
True, which is, it absolutely is true. If you play for long enough, it's going to happen. The third one is from Tom Dwan, who I guess I was 20.
Okay, bluffing when you have something instead of bluffing when you don't have something. What? Tom Dwan. I mean, the advice has to be bad because it's Tom Dwan, but let's see what it is. Maybe something like you can turn a mate hand into a bluff. Let's see what he will tell us.
22, I was living in a house over the summer with him and 9 other guys for WSOP. I was showing him a hand that I played, and I was asking if I should call or fold the river. And he thought for a little bit, and he said, I would raise. Essentially, at that point, I didn't view hands that, were decent bluff catchers to be good raising candidates. And what I realized through talking with him further was the way that Tom thought through the hand was, it was pretty clear that I had something given the way the hand had played out. I had called a couple of times in a spot where I basically couldn't have any draws left. I was out of position. I wasn't check calling with a queen high flush draw against big bets. And especially at the time, but even still, players didn't bluff that often when they had something. They bluffed a lot when they didn't have something. And so what Tom recognized in that situation is a lot of people overfold when it's clear that you have something and then you're raising, basically turning mate hands into bluffs. And it kind of unlocked,
So what is the advice given? I guess it is always consider all your options. So it's not only fold or calls. You could sometimes also consider raise, as this is your third option. But yeah, I think often with bluff catchers, it's in general the better thing to do call with instead of raising most of the time from a GTO perspective. But yeah, if you have a read on your opponent that he can make very tough laydowns and that when you think you might be beat and that he's going after you, although you clearly have something, it could be time to turn your mate hand into a bluff.
Whole other part of the game tree in my mind for consideration when I played hands from then on. The fourth one is also from Tommy Angelo.
Some things are just supposed to happen. Don't let it affect you. Yeah, he's phrasing everything quite strange, or his editor. Yeah, this is very important. Never ever be results orientated. Just try to play every hand as good as you can. And if you manage to play every hand very well, the perfect is nobody can achieve this, but if you play all the hands very well and on average better than your opponent, then you will end up making quite a lot of money in the long run. So yeah, let's see what Phil Galfond will make out of this.
Probably do a top 5 Tommy Angelo advice video. Let's say that you go to the airport and you show up on time, you're waiting at your gate, and then you find out that your flight's delayed 30 minutes. Tommy doesn't get upset when that happens because getting delayed is one of the things that flights regularly do.
Yeah, it's very stupid to get angry about things that are not within your control. I also never get angry when I got bad beat or something, because often I got the money in great, and whatever, 4 out of 5 times I should win, and it just happens sometimes that I lose. I just get very angry if I do something that was within my control and that I could have done better. And when I recognize later that I was playing this very bad, then I can get angry, but not if it's just bad luck. And also another thing is, in hindsight, often you are like, okay, this was so clear, I had to fold, but I did not do it. Always take into consideration, if this really was so clear in the situation, and if you are not just looking back, and in hindsight it seems very clear, but actually it wasn't. Often it is like, people say like, this is not poker related, but still, people say like, oh, it was so clear, Bitcoin is going to whatever amount, 20,000, let's say. And it was so easy to invest back then, like whatever, 2010. But in reality, the guy who's saying that did not invest then. So actually, it seems not to be that clear that this would happen. But yeah, often in hindsight, things seem like it was certain that it will happen, when in reality, it has a very small probability.
It's just something that's supposed to happen a lot of the time. He kind of approaches life and poker in this way, that you have to know what to expect. And
yeah, also don't get whiny and cry and be upset when you lost 100k. Maybe you even play bad. You have to deal with it. I mean, it doesn't matter if you are now crying and get angry and smash your head against the wall. It just didn't change anything. You just have to make sure that in the future you will play well, and then you will get it back at some point. But yeah, don't let it affect you, because after the facts happen, you cannot change anything anymore.
If you're not going to be surprised by anything, then it's just one of the things that's supposed to happen, and you don't need to let it bother you. I mean, a specific quote he would say is, if an asshole is being an asshole to me, I'm not surprised. That's what assholes do. Obviously, at the poker table, the way this translates is when you get it in with aces against ace-10 offsuit and you lose, that's something that's supposed to happen, whatever percentage of the time.
I think it's about 10% or 9% or something, but don't quote me on that. Also not an expert in no limit hold'em.
Pretty small percentage of the time, but it's something that's supposed to happen. When you flop middle set and you get all your money in and you happen to be up against top set, that's one of the things that's supposed to happen. These are all things that happen.
Yeah, always keep in mind what the range of your opponent is supposed to look like. Especially in no limit hold'em, it's not just top set. It's bottom set as well. It's 2 pair. It might be some draws. It might be even top pair. So you're getting it in very, very good against the range, but you ended up against the very top of his range and you just got unlucky. But the decision was right.
I don't think I ever became as zen as Tommy. I don't think many people are. But that approach still stuck with me. And I've kind of recognized that if I'm upset by something that's going to happen reasonably often, that's a failing on my part. So it's a lack of preparation, emotional and mental preparation on my part. So off the top of my head, I'm running out. I'm sure I could go look back at one of Tommy's books and list 10 more. But I guess for the 5th, I will go with advice that I gave. And I gave it technically to other people, but also to myself. I've already recorded a longer video about this, but so I'll be succinct here. Throughout hands,
no matter what your opponent does, it's just another turn for you to make the right play.
We so often are fearing a certain turn card or hoping our opponent checks or regretting an action we recently took. We have it stuck in our head. And all of these emotions, or not emotions, but all of these thoughts are not useful to us. Don't hope for a turn card. Don't fear an opponent's action. Don't spend time thinking about the play you just made. Every time the action is on you, it's an opportunity to make the right play. So don't worry about what's already happened or what's going to unfold, because when you get into that situation, whatever does unfold, your job is just to make the right decision.
Yeah, this is a good point. Yeah, just try to make the best decision based on what you know at this moment. Things can change completely if the board completes the straight and the flush on the river or something. But at the moment, you have to, or let's say, one certain action is the best one, like whatever, bet or check or try to check raise, and then go with it.
In that situation. And that's going to be true.
Very important also when you make decisions, not only in poker, but in life too. Not only think it through for one scenario or something. So don't just go blindly all in, considering thinking that crypto now has to go up again because it crushed 80 to 95%, depending on the coin. Or yeah, what is a poker example of this? Yeah, don't think it through until the end. So if you make a certain action, you should have a plan in your head already. So what will I do given what my opponent is going to do? Not only think about, okay, the standard action will be that he just calls, and when I do this and that, also think about, okay, folding is easy when you don't have to do anything anymore, but also think through what happens if he raises. Maybe this is very bad for me, and checking behind is the right option because when I see a safe river and cannot be blown off my hand or something like that. So think it through until the end, and also don't only think like for the best case scenario, oh, I will hit my flush anyway, so I just call. No, you also have to consider the whatever 4 other times when you don't make your hand. And yeah, this all has to go into your decision-making process.
No matter what turn card hits, no matter what your opponent does, it's just another turn for you to make the right play. I hope you found these as helpful as I did throughout my career. Let me know in the comments which spoke to you the most and which you found the most helpful. And if you're not already...
Yeah, I think the best advice was not to be results orientated. I mean, I try to extract the most important things from what he said. Don't be results orientated. Yeah, know that events are independent. Just because you lost as a favorite 3 times in a row, it does not mean that you have to win the 4th time. Try to make the best decision always. And yeah, in hindsight, sometimes things might seem different, but when you make the best decision at the time, given the information you had, then everything is fine, and you should be good in life. Not only in poker, but in life in general. And yeah, what did he have? I mean, this was just one thing, right? Which I extracted from it. Don't be results orientated. Yeah, and try to make the optimal decision at every point of the game tree. Yeah, I think that's it. And if you manage to do that, you will not fail, unless you have no bankroll management or something. Okay, I think it's the end.
Click the subscribe button.
Yeah. Also, follow me if you're watching on Twitch, and yeah, like, subscribe, share if you watch it later on YouTube. And yeah, by the way, also very important, consider to check out my other channel. It is called Finance with Axel. I think I do very great content for investing, money, personal finance and stuff. And it's way undersubscribed. I think the information provided is way better than in my poker channel, but I have only half the subscribers. So do me a favor, or if you are interested in these topics too, consider checking this channel out too. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.